So we just got done watching episode 1 of Loki.
Yes.
So what are your first thoughts about this show?
I'm interested in how it is. I kind of like the way the atmosphere is in this movie. It's kind of like feels like almost like I don't know 1970s. I don't even know what the type of atmosphere this is supposed to be, like some sort of workplace. Like
Yeah, it's got I don't know, like a 1960s kind of thing going
yeah,
on.
1960s, 70s, like old style.
Office
Yeah, office setting. It's kind
setting,
of
yeah.
it reminds me of like Fallout or something. They
Yeah,
took
yeah,
the
it
same set
does.
from they took the set from like WandaVision or something like this. Uses.
Yeah, it does feel like like a Fallout thing or even like BioShock or something where they're trying to
Yeah, it
do
has that weird feeling because
retro.
the guys are like I guess they're like time cops almost.
Yeah,
They're called Minutemen, so they kind of
right. Yeah, and it's got a big like Doctor Who kind of vibe to it,
yeah,
which I mean, anything dealing with time travel is going to do that because
yeah,
this agency is like almost like the Time Lords.
yeah,
Yeah, I like the overall feeling of the show,
yeah.
and I mean, Tom Hiddleston, he's always good. So the acting is phenomenal, and I was surprised by Owen Wilson. He was actually really good in this.
Yeah, he wasn't too bad in this one. He was actually pretty decent,
He didn't
especially since
really,
Owen Wilson hasn't really done anything in a while.
yeah, he didn't really act like Owen Wilson. Like, like he
Yeah,
acted like a very like serious kind of character. Like he's got a little bit of levity to him, but it's like the levity's only there to kind of break the ice. But
yeah,
he seems to be like a very. There was one very interesting line he said that makes me wonder who he is. There's something
yeah.
more to him because he says that Loki says the TVA is formidable. I wrote this down. And his response is, "That's been my experience." That doesn't sound like he's actually part of the regular TVA then.
Yeah,
It's like that seems like he was somebody outside of the TVA that was
he
brought in.
probably was. His name is
Like
Mobius. Was it Mobius?
Mobius, yeah, not to be confused with Morbius, which is another Marvel character that Sony vampire movie.
Yes.
But yeah, I like the TVA is really cool. I like they seem to exist outside of the universe, like maybe in some kind of void space or something. Because like
Yeah, because they made a point. They were like, magic doesn't work here, or like Infinity Stones are just like
okay,
strewn
void,
about.
yeah, yeah, Infinity Stone. They don't know what fish are. Infinity Stones just all over the place. Yeah, it's very interesting, but it's got that feeling that what you're seeing isn't really what exists. It's just like
Yeah,
an image that's conveyed to the viewers or whatever.
yeah, because like the guy's like, I've been here from all my life. It's like I've been here all my life. Doesn't
Yeah,
know
well, it
anything about
said
like
that
this clerical work.
the timekeepers created the people that work at the agency, so they
Yeah,
may not even be real people. They may not
yeah,
exist at all. So like that's interesting, except for certain people. Like I think Owen Wilson's character exists because he seems to be like on a different wavelength than everybody else at the agency.
yeah. And he's like, even the one that's just like, I know who Loki is, basically.
Yeah, yeah. So he like I guess we'll just explain what's going on with the show. So I really like the show. It sounds like you really like the show too.
Yeah,
So we'll very interesting in seeing what goes on in the next episodes.
yeah. It's
So
always
now,
like the first episode's kind of like your setup episode, so it's kind of
right?
like okay,
Yeah. So I guess we'll explain like what happened. So I guess spoilers going in to
yeah,
this episode. It's not gonna be too much spoilers. It's the first episode. But yeah, it starts where Endgame ended with Loki's story. So
yeah,
he gets a hold of the Tesseract because the Hulk screws up everything. And so he takes the Tesseract and then we see where he went. Because in Endgame he just vanishes and then we're not concerned with what happens to Loki because there's other things that need to be done.
yeah,
So this one, we find out Loki ends up in Mongolia randomly, and then almost as soon as he gets there, these people from the TVA show up, and they like take Loki to their headquarters, the Time whatever agency,
variance agency or whatever. I
Time
think.
Variance. Yeah, we find out Loki He's a variant. So people who go off the main, that's what they call the sacred timeline, are variants.
Yeah, because they were talking about how the reason why they have a sacred timeline is because there was like multiple timelines being made in the past, and they had like a timeline war, almost like a multiverse war.
Yeah, multiversal war, and that was interesting. The
Yeah,
backstory explanation for all that. It's given to you by like an animated clock character or
yeah.
whatever.
It's like one of those like old Disney shows or
Yeah,
whatever.
it reminded me of Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
They explained the whole multiversal war and all that kind of stuff, and this felt like the first part of Phase 4.
yeah,
Like it really felt like on a totally different level from what WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier was like. This felt like we're in real Marvel now.
yeah,
And because this is the first time you went through all of WandaVision thinking that there was going to be some kind of multiverse, and only the slightest hints to the multiverse were in that. This show flat out tells you we're dealing with the multiverse.
yeah. There's multiverses and variants, and people can do whatever. Like,
Yeah, they're really explaining like all those details. And one thing that's very interesting about this, though, one of the showrunner for this is a writer, was a writer for Rick and Morty, and he's also the writer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
oh, okay. So this makes sense. So you might get a little bit of what's going to be in Multiverse of Madness.
Right, because we're already talking about multiverses, we're talking about invariants and like all that kind of stuff. We learn about the time keepers
Mm-hmm.
and how they determine what is part of the sacred timeline and what isn't, and like all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that like older Doctor Who used to talk about, like fixed points in time that can't be altered and all that kind of stuff. And then later in Doctor Who, they just ignored that concept because they just ignored anything resembling continuity.
Yeah.
But when they used to have some sort of rules, they had fixed points in time, and then they had other points that were in flux that could change, and that's like what they're establishing here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the timekeepers seem to be the ones who determine what's good and what isn't, because they like detain Loki for going off the timeline, but Loki makes a point that the Avengers did that, and like if the Avengers hadn't gone through time, he wouldn't have taken the Tesseract in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
And they say that what the Avengers did was supposed to happen, so that was okay by the timekeepers, but Loki's thing wasn't.
Yeah, because you don't know. Like, he makes a point like who determines what's right.
Loki
Which
makes
timeline is right and which
very
one's wrong.
right. Loki makes some very good points. We don't know anything about the TVA. We've heard one story, and we don't know what's going on with that, because like the multiversal war, though we say that they do that to prevent it, but are they the good, quote unquote, good guys or not? Like,
Yeah.
the multiverse, this could be a tyrant agency, and the multiversal war was different groups rising up against their tyranny, and they got put down. Like, we don't know what the story actually is.
Yeah.
Because their solution to everything is just to kill it.
Yeah, because they call prune it or reset
Pruning
it. So
and resetting.
basically
and,
killing them.
Yeah, it all seems like it's different terms to kill something.
Yeah, because even Owen Wilson even said that. It was like, he's like, that judgment room is like your execution room.
Right.
That's literally your execution room.
Yeah, because Loki's like, you taking me to kill me or something. And he's like, no, that's where you just were. And
That's where you just were. I pulled you out of there.
Right. So yeah, their solution is just to kill people when they know too much about the time variance. So I'm not so sure the TVA is actually a good thing. Like, we don't really know what their deal is. But yeah, we don't know that. And one thing I did think of when I was watching this was a lot of people were complaining about Captain America in particular, because he variated off the timeline way more than anybody else did.
Yeah.
Because he went back in time and lived his whole life in a different timeline.
Yeah.
And apparently that's okay by the timekeepers code, but there could be some reasons for that, I guess, because one is that Captain America because these people would know the entirety of your timeline.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you deviated off the timeline, they would know where it goes. and like maybe somebody like Captain America kept his head down and didn't change events, so they were fine with it. But
Yeah,
somebody like
he did his
Loki,
job and then was like, I'm going here.
left unchecked may have gone down a disastrous path, possibly one they're dealing with anyway, because we find out that they're hunting a variant, and it turns out it's another form of Loki.
And also there was, I think he did say something about like before was like people have to rise up to fight villains, I guess you can say.
Mm, yeah.
And Captain America is one of those people, so they're like, he's like technically a good guy, I guess. So they probably don't really care as much.
Yeah, they
But
didn't
he's not
care
going to
so
be
much.
destroying things.
No, and like I said, he's the least likely to cause trouble out of even the Avengers. So they may have let that go. And then the other thing I was thinking too was when Doctor Strange in Infinity War, Doctor Strange goes through and he sees all possible futures.
Yeah.
And it was like a million some different versions, and then they're like, well, how many do we win? It's one out of all of those. Was it only because of Thanos, or was he aware of the TVA and certain deviations that they did in the time travel caused the TVA to get involved? And the reason why that was one out of over a million whatever possibilities could have been because that was the one thing that they could use time travel and not mess up the sacred timeline or whatever.
Yeah.
So, because there could be more in play than just Thanos, because Thanos didn't seem like he was very formidable, but it didn't seem like he was a 1 in over a million chances formidable. It seemed like there could have been more than one possibility to defeat him, but possibly going in very different timelines and all that kind of stuff opened up all this crap with the TVA, and maybe there was one way they could do it that was all right with the way the timekeepers saw the events, and that's why they had to go.
It had to follow this specific way.
That's a possibility I thought of. That's my own thought. I don't know if that's what there was hinted at or not, but it's an idea, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to see Loki see what happens in his timeline, which is interesting. And I'm thinking, he'll probably still try to alter events or whatever.
Yeah, so he doesn't like die or anything like that.
Doesn't die or save his mother, and
he kind of sees that he's his end of life or whatever.
Right, because he may try to save his mother too, because they've already done a couple things with Dark World. Like Endgame had that moment with Thor and his mother that wasn't part of the regular timeline. Mm-hmm. So I feel like they seem like they're willing to mess with the Dark World more than some of the other movies, probably because it's not that well received by most of the fan base.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe one of those movies that you can play around with a bit. So like that's an interesting option. We do see that the show's gonna probably get kind of wild from the trailers and stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious where they're going to go with this. Like, especially they're fighting two Lokis and stuff. So you need to Owen Wilson will have to I guess there'll probably be a scene where they have to kind of determine who's like the real Loki type of thing. I'm sure it's going to happen.
And there might be it's probably completely different versions of Loki and stuff.
Oh yeah, maybe have a different look because the girl was like, "Oh, that's who killed all these guys is this guy," and it pointed to stained glass, and it was like a devil guy.
Right, and
so it must be like the original Loki or something.
Maybe could be referring to the horns on his helmet or something.
Yeah, too, when he has his horns and stuff.
Right, and it could be other things because there's a female Loki and all other kind of stuff in the comics.
Oh yeah,
so it could be different versions that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, because I guess this is where they probably could do that. It'd be we would use the female Loki or whatever.
Because he's this master of disguise and all that kind of stuff anyway. So, yeah, that could be interesting. And one thing I did see, some people were complaining about this show, is they said that made Loki seem weak or whatever. But I feel like it's the opposite, because they established this agency that's all-knowing and omnipotent and all that kind of stuff. And then Loki, in just a matter of a few minutes, managed to steal that time displacement thing from Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
and effectively defeat that head of security lady.
Yeah.
So it's like he's already manipulating the TVA while he's still essentially prisoner to them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that kind of showed that he could definitely cause some trouble in the timeline.
Yeah, and I think he's kind of like making so villains, I guess, have a sort of weakness too. I guess that's probably what they're hinting at.
Mm.
Because they're kind of weak because they're always trying to control people, type of thing. And he was saying he's weak because it's an illusion and try to instill fear into people so they will listen to him.
Right.
To a point, but I mean, he's not really weak, I guess you could say.
No, yeah,
and he's not really weak in that type of sense. He's like weak in a moral sense.
Right. And it's like he's like Owen Wilson's talking to him and it sounds like he's mocking him or something, and then Loki's like, well, I am smart or whatever, and
yeah,
and then
he's like, sure you are.
Yeah, but he says the way Owen Wilson said it though, he's like, yeah, I know you are. Like it didn't sound like he was mocking him. It sounded like he was actually acknowledging that he is very smart.
Yeah.
Because the guy that Owen Wilson is chasing down, who keeps killing their agents and they can't catch, is a variant of Loki, apparently. So he's very well aware that he's intelligent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it has potential to be a great show.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because it's very interesting. It's kind of like I guess metaphysics or something. It's kind of like hard to. They could go really wild with the show, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, and I think if any of the shows that we've established so far do it, it's gonna be this one.
Yeah, because WandaVision has the potential to do it, but
WandaVision could have done so much more than it actually did. But this one, they're already talking about the multiverse. The showrunner is also the writer for the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah, and hopefully it seems like he's kind of at least well versed with comic book lore and stuff.
Yeah, hopefully he knows how to read a comic book.
Yeah, hopefully he knows how to open a comic book and read it.
Unlike the showrunner of WandaVision.
Yeah, which is kind of like, okay, if you're gonna make a comic book movie, at least read the source material at least a little bit.
Right. Yeah. This one sounded like, and I don't know if you caught, but Tom Hiddleston's the executive producer for this as well.
Oh, is he? Okay.
So, and I heard that he sat down like some of the writers and stuff and had like a big discussion with them and what he feels like his character would do and stuff, because he's played Loki for over a decade now.
Yeah.
So to have the actor that invested in the role, that definitely helps as well.
Yeah, especially it seemed like at least Tom Hiddleston's probably he's one of those, he probably likes Loki a lot. It's probably one of his favorite characters to play, so I'm sure he doesn't want it to be like stupid.
Right. Yeah, he does. He's definitely invested in the role. So yeah, I don't want to say right off the bat that this is going to be like a 10 or a 9 or whatever, because like the last two were not great in our opinion, but we'll see where it goes. It has potential to be a 10.
Yeah, it all depends, and it kind of depends on how it ends too, because like I said, WandaVision was good until the ending.
Yeah, WandaVision kind of fell apart like in the last two episodes.
Yeah, it was just like bad.
Ralph Boner and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Boner.
So as long as they don't slap us in the face with another boner, and then
yeah, exactly,
we'll be okay.
Winter Soldier was kind of like,
yeah, Winter Soldier was just kind of nothing.
Like, yeah, it was just like a show. It wasn't like that. Like, it was nothing.
I don't feel like I got anything out of that show.
I barely remember what happened in that.
Yeah.
Just watched it not even that long ago.
Right. But yeah, WandaVision I enjoyed WandaVision much more than Falcon and Winter Soldier, but yeah, the ending fell completely flat.
Yeah, it was so bad. Which this one seems like, if it's Tom Hiddleston, I think if he's trying to tell people like the writers and stuff, I'm sure he probably wants it to end a certain way.
Yeah.
While letting probably the writers do their creative thing, but probably wants to end it a certain way without it screwing everything up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very good sign that he's so actively involved in the production and everything.
Yeah.
And they haven't really been throwing weird hints at us like the other ones for people to complain about. Like WandaVision had all these rumors and stuff that were being made by the cast, and crew and stuff, and none of it came to fruition. This, they haven't really talked that much about like what to expect. It's been all very vague.
Yeah, which I prefer, especially in a show like
Right.
this.
Yeah, because it doesn't set up false expectations or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
Or like
yeah.
hint about things and not come to fruition.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So is there anything else you want to say about this episode?
Um, yeah, that's really, it's like I say, it's like the first episode, so it's like a setup episode. So trying to see what's going on and like trying to
Hmm.
figure out what's going on type of thing. So it definitely grabbed the attention at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some people might say that it was a little slow moving or whatever, but I don't really think so, because it set up what this, we've never heard of
Yeah,
this agency before. So
yeah, we have to know what the agency is all about. But I do kind of like the world though. That world, like when you look out the window and it's like looks really weird.
yeah,
It does look pretty interesting.
this definitely looks like it's a much higher budget than the other two shows. Too.
Yeah. And I kind of wonder if they'll ever go to the other agencies. So they talked about a nightmare agency, and that's an actual thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
like Monsters Inc. or something. Monsters Inc. They need the children's crying or whatever to power them up.
That's right.
But I don't know. They could do a lot. It kind of depends.
Yep, I'm definitely looking forward to this one. So
Yep.
we both seem to definitely like this episode.
Yes.
All right, so we'll catch you next time for episode 2 of Loki. See ya.
See you.